Right, I hate walking along with my thing out. My thing. Right, and furthermore, I was revving up to do this, but I haven't had lunch. I forgot to have lunch. This follows on from, I'm going to pause. Oh, because these competition runners are coming up. Right, continued. So, it hit me why for 17 or 18 years I decried what is. This car is on from an audio. It is actually just London-Speak, but I have to describe it. Oh God. And that is a sign, leave. Not only have we got this awful marching, show-off marathon competition, whatever. Oh, there's another gang of them coming. But I've never seen a motorbike go along what is the southwestern coastal path. I'm going to have to put it on pause again in a moment. Enjoy. Hello. Right. And in fact, that's almost on cue, because this intensity of being, I've got to be doing, I've got to be taking part in something, is actually part of it. Right. So, I've had, for 3 or 4 months, and the detail never matters, I avoid all psychodrama, but just being around a chunk of land, you realise that on the fringes, people have, and there's only one word that matters, compulsions. Whether or not it's more only alcohol, but we're talking damaging alcohol or drugs, it doesn't really matter. Alcohol is, of course, probably the most damaging drug in many ways. On pause again. Now, I woke up, I had a good, life is good when you have a nap at lunchtime. And I woke up and just one of my important memories, reflections, just came starkly back to me. Because I shall call it, although it's so boring, it's literally 16, 17, 18 years old. I shall call it Gweekspeak, by which I mean all these words like narcissism, etc., that gradually arose over the last 16 or 17 years. And I actually, for innocent reasons, and I decried it as it was happening. I knew it was problematical. You should listen to the introduction of this. It's just about, I call myself, and this is the most unfashionable word, despite being the most humanitarian word of all. I call myself a utilitarian, which means the most benefit for the maximum number. It's that, in a way, the fact that it's like this Gweekspeak, which are all these words, trying to come up with quasi-medical explanations for the personality, are the most awful, and I believe dangerous distraction from more important things. And apart from the fact that they're, in many ways, you'd almost call them wrong, because but that's another essay, another day. Right. So I happen to have spent time, and it's happened quite a few times, unfortunately, in the last 17 or 18 years. 20 years. Yeah, 20 years ago, I spent time around people who are lost to alcohol. Now, heavy alcohol usage doesn't entirely destroy you as a human being, but it does warp everything. What matters actually is that people are open about it. People explain what the score is, because it's all quite simple. Life is actually so simple. Yes, you may have a small proportion of people who have personality or behaviour traits such that they are on some extreme end of a narcissism scale, and those people we can call whatever we want: sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissists, whatever. Some of them unfortunately have to end up, well, first of all, their victims are the unfortunate people, of course, and then they will end up in Broadway. But to the point, what's the thing that hurts the most people? And it is Southeastern speak. This Southeastern speak came along. In fact, it's specifically London speak. Meeting this couple this morning, it's like really interesting how she said she's from the Bristol Bath area, and she was slightly denigrating Sarah, but she very much said, and yeah, Bristol is different. Bath will have adopted this London speak, and it is London speak. It's not Birmingham speak, it's not Liverpool speak, it's not Manchester speak. And the Greek people like that, adopted it because they are basically Londoners and they can't think. They can't think, and this is all a kind of neurosis. It's a desperation to find quick, cheap solutions. Now, my own personal story is irrelevant. I'm lucky. I am incredibly lucky. I had compulsions for the first 7 or 8 years of my adult life, and by the age of 20, well, I always knew they were bad. They always bugged me, and by the age of 25, I managed to think, right, I've got to stop them all now. I've got to find a way to genuinely move through them, and there is no roadmap. There is no quick fix. Certainly not using these awful words. Well, I've got this, that, and the other. I mean, this all started with this. I've written something about this. You're such and such a personality based on the whatever scale it is, based on pictures or whatever. It's all bullshit. It's all. I mean, it literally arose. Funnily enough, it didn't actually specifically arise with Alain de Botton, but a certain kind of person arose, all from London. All of them, they're so insidiously bloody. They're worse than smug and sybaritic. They are, because they believe they're nice, chummy people who, with some education, it's not education, and a few new smart people words, are going to take the human condition forward. And they did not. This whole region, which is Greater London, it's as simple as that, shows not. There is so much genuinely pretty sick behaviour below the skin. People stuck with compulsions. Let's just leave it at that. More people are damaged by bad compulsions than any narcissism or all of these distractions. In fact, they're an avoidance of what's the truth. The truth is, this has been for hundreds of years. If you're somebody who's enthralled to a compulsion, let's just keep with the simple one, alcohol, that completely fucks up your life and those around you. And yes, this 17, 18, 19 years ago, one of the words that arose, which is possibly a useful word, codependent. And I kind of wrongly even use that myself sometimes. Anyway, to the point. Yeah, so I woke up. But what has happened is all of these people, and it is entirely a London thing. London that then, because they had fancy houses in Bath and places like that, this is totally distraction thinking. I woke up. What's the story of my life? There are only a few things that matter in life. Most people have children. That's the most important thing. And then it's about finding a really good partner. Well, 20 years ago, I chanced across, at last, the right partner for me. Absolute, total love. couple of months, wonderful, getting on well with my child. My child loved this woman. I popped up to see her at her home small town in Yorkshire. She wasn't a Yorkshire lass. And she was, I'm completely clean living. I don't think we even had a drink. It wasn't like we're ex-alcoholics or anything like that. It's just, don't need that. She smoked a little bit of weed, but it was all very mild stuff. And we went out for a drink one night. No, maybe we did have a drink. A half of beer. And there was some friend of hers, like the good bloke of the town, who had clearly she'd known for many years. And he made some small passing comment, and I should have taken note. It's like, he said something like, "Oh, are you okay now after?" Like he implied there'd been some really, probably, I mean he used coy language, that there'd been some pretty bad periods. Now, he should have been a fucking man and said to me, "I am her best friend. I hope she's told you about X, whatever it was." Anyway, so about a month later, we arranged a rendezvous at WOMAD Festival, where I'd never been. And to my horror, she was completely... I had not the smallest indication that she had had any compulsions. None. What was she? 40. Yeah. There she was, in a complete mess, with half a bottle of Jack Daniels in her hand. Now, actually, I think I thought about it over the 3 or 4 months that followed, and she ended the relationship. But the reason she ended it is because she had unfixed compulsions. You can't fix your compulsions within a relationship. I know that. It can take a long time to reset your psycho-spiritual setting, really. Anyway, if he'd have been a man, and if we'd have had a society where people are more honest and open, if he'd have sat down and said to me, she had, I mean, it's possible, although I would be surprised, because she was so just ordinary, artistic, but organic, and she'd raised 2 children, had a very low-key life. It's possible she had been a heroin addict. There was something, it was either that or booze, really serious booze. Yes, there were some signs on her body. It was older than it probably should have been. If he'd have turned around, he said to me that day, she has recovered from one or other compulsion, I wouldn't have changed a thing. But the point being is that compulsion, her compulsion, I'd put a lot of my... It's important, finding the right person. It wasn't a quest, but it was always in the back of your mind. I'd like to find the right person. You're going out with 1 or 2 people, it's not quite the right person. So you meet the right person, and then 2 or 3 months later, it's nuclear bond. Now, why do I even mention this? Because that's your life story. And I'm sure there are so many more, tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of people where that applies. And these are the things in society, these compulsions. And they've massively expanded. Where I used to live, there weren't as many recovered or partly recovered or still in their compulsions. But quite clearly, here there are many. I've met many. And as a society, all of this talk, this is why I literally hate this Gweekspeak. It detracts, and in fact, I think it's an avoidance. I think it's an unconscious avoidance tactic of... I mean, quite clearly around here, I'm going to put this on pause in a minute. This society is set. The lowest common denominator sets the society generally. And there are so many around here who've got dangerous compulsions, such that sometimes it may not be for years at a time, but they will become horribly aggressive and threateningly whatever, or dangerous. So yes, so this Greek speak, I mean, it is actually a form of masturbation, because you can't do anything about the so-called personality traits that they're all trying to, that they all just, it's a mixture of gossip and masturbation. Oh, I've read some nonsense. Oh, there's always a partial truth. You know, your Gabor Mate, Jordan Peterson, Russell Brand, who are the new version of this kind of original, what's his face, sort of Alain de Botton, but he was a bit more careful. I can't actually think of a public character, but they were there. I saw them arise, and the most important thing is I saw them arise firsthand, because I created certain forums, not deliberately. Other people created the forums, but I changed the law such that the forums expanded into deeper talk. That's in the audio I've just done. So what? It's like I hate being on the internet because of this. The internet is a great medium for spreading your pamphlets, but the internet enabled these rather silly people at the end of the day in their London bedrooms or their Bath bedrooms or their Wiltshire bedrooms. I mean, it's all emanated out of London, 2005, 6, 7, and got onto the forums around then, and of course, to some extent, America. And it's all a diversion from, if you want to actually utilitarian care about society, focused on what harms people, what damages these rare chances. I just happened to live somewhere there were no women spare at all, ever, in the countryside. But your occasional chance, where your occasional chance is damaged by, in that case, her compulsion, it just exploded it. That was the end of it. Not in a judgmental, angry way, but she was ashamed and backed out of what was a brilliant, full-on, we're going to be living together relationship. So if you care about your society, you stop wanking on about, with smart talk, about that person's has that trait. Think about who around you has got these really totally, they don't just fuck you, their tentacles go out these compulsions and affect others around you, your staff, blah blah blah, etc, etc, etc. And they're just as bad, they're probably worse than ever, and there's so many with them down here. I just hate it. And of course what it means is that when somebody meets you, they assume you're one of these people too, even though it's all not really talked about. There you go. I think that's what but that's your story. That happens to be one of the 3 or 4 things that is my life story. That, I met a great person. All my emotion, spirit, and everything, and hopes and whatever went into that one person, and then it turns out that she is totally, not entirely lost, of course, otherwise she couldn't have been that wonderful person she was. But that, unfortunately, was the great big cloud, damaging cloud over her life. And there are millions like that, and rather than go on about these just masturbatory, it achieves nothing. You can maybe assist people who've got these compulsions. It takes years, but the compulsions damage so much more of society and personal relationships and familial relationships than these traits, that it's become their masturbatory hobby. Places like Gweek, I'm sure it's the same in half of, I know it's the same in half of Penzance. It's appalling. I just can't stand talking to any English person here. They've all ended up here, and they're all so fucking smug. They think because they can do a bad painting, put some artist attire on, and chuck some of this modern speak into their lingo, that they're the bee's knees. It is all avoidance. All of it. You see the big boxes of whiskey, empty whiskey bottles left out for the recycling. That's what matters. And it's damaged my life. I'm lucky. I got out of all compulsions by the age of 30, permanently, forever. That's what damages people. It keeps bouncing back into my life at times, not romantically, but in all sorts of ways. It's horrible. But it's the way they steal your story. That's what they do. The Gweek girls, they steal your real story with the holier-than-thou smug speak about, I assess you have these traits, when they don't even fucking know you, because these compulsions that many have means that everybody's frightened, rightly. So they're too frightened to get to know you properly as a person. And yes, I did go to a party in Gweek, and it was just full of the same crap. And the thing is that party, just a barbecue for a free whatever, free hamburger. The end.